The police officers are living in deplorable conditions. So many other Kenyans.
And they're captured.
And they're not killing each other, right? There is another issue that many have said that we need to go back to recruitment. I will tell you what, getting yourself to be a recruit and a police, you go through rigorous exercise that one ends up there. The training, 9 months, even if it's 1 year that they go through, by the time one is graduating, you've gone through the process and it has been determined that you are fit enough to be a police officer. So this thing we're being told that, what happened where? No.
My dear, sorry. Let me just I beg you, pardon me. That they go through training and you're fit enough to become a police officer. Is it not the same Kiganjo where people were going and people were receiving money? Is it not the same one where people were receiving money to take their candidates to enter into the system training? So tell me if all of them who system.
Here's what I'm talking. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. By the time one is graduating as an officer, you've gone through the training. And based off that training, it's been determined that then you can go and serve the people. We'll talk about the corruption that does exist, where we see all manner of people end up there. But by the time you're coming back and you're being given an order to kill someone, you make a conscious decision simply because you've not been given a bribe of 10,000 shillings you decide to kill. That is a personal decision because over time it has been inculcated in the system. So then one asks the question, where we have a body called IPOA that is supposed to speak and is not speaking, where we have an internal audit mechanism within the police officers that is not working, where do we as mwananchi go? Because here's the thing. It was Albert Ojwang, it was Rex Masai, it was Brian, it is Eric today. Tomorrow it will be you and I. Until when will this continue happening? Because let's face it, I will be stupid to think that the intelligence of this country does not know what exactly happened. I would be super stupid to think that the president does not know this happened. I will be extremely stupid to think that Kipchumba Murkomen does not know that this happened. Yesterday, they were meeting with chiefs. What is the role of chiefs? What is the role of that chief in Mathare? So here we are now saying we want to work with the chiefs to provide. Which security are you talking about?
Hey. Mimi, I don't.
Which security are you talking about?
One of the books that I'm reading talks about the psychology of brutality, and I made mention of it earlier, where it talks about the difficulty. That it's rather the threshold of difficulty that has to be met by one human being to take the life of another, right? Like now, if you're working around things like strangling and you work around things like a knifing and things like that, the amount of force, right, that needs to be leveled against another human being in order to be injurious enough to cause harm that leads to death is not funny.
True.
That something has to be deviant and I'm not talking about a fight. I'm not talking about two boys going at it over a thing and then they finish and then they're done. I'm talking about the one that will bring harm sufficient enough to cause internal injury that leads to death. That for you to keep going. The people who are trained in torture are trained in this thing. And they've actually, in that book that I'm reading, I'll bring it for you. In that book that I'm reading, even those who are going through elements of interrogation have admitted after they have finished their service that it takes you to be off. It takes you to be off somewhat to then stick to it, whereby you're torturing this person until they tell you what it is that you want to know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
But by the time it is okay for you to do that, you are not okay. And where am I going with this? If what is happening in Kiganjo that you're talking about is actually happening, then you know what? The system would have also told you whether these people would be able to lose it in a situation, if it was proper, in a certain situation, or if they had reached a threshold of selfishness, if they had reached a threshold of greed, or they had reached a threshold of brutality. You don't want that person. And for all of you to be able to coalesce, even if it is one person, to use a club on another human being for something which in books is regarded as petty, then we have to question the system. And I am not going to stick onto individuals. I am going to keep asking that there be a question of the system. If you do not interrogate and audit the system that then regurgitates these people who kill a young man, I'm not even talking about Eric, who kill a young man in April 2025. If you're not asking those questions, you are not serious about nationhood. You're not. You're not. And that we sit in that same sepsis and then we allow, because that's what we've done, we have not dealt with it. So if you don't deal with something, you allow the same thing to reoccur. There is a gentleman who sat in the docks and said, oh, had it been woe unto me, I would not have done it. Look at it now. Less than a year later, not too far away, by the way, in just another police station, something has happened to somebody else that has allowed the same thing to be repeated if we are not doing an audit and interrogation of the system. Let me not sound like a harbinger of doom, but Eric Otieno is not the last. Mm-hmm. It will happen again. And don't be deceived that the officers who did this, the ones who killed Eric, are sitting somewhere remorseful saying, oh my God, woe is me. Don't be disillusioned.
That do.
And that it will happen again. That is why we need to have the conversation. I'm telling you, whether IPOA stands up today, which they probably will give a press sometime today, whether they start to investigate, whether somebody goes to court, whether they deal with the cosmetic top layer of all of this, if you don't cut out the cancer, it will happen again. That is what should incense you. If it doesn't, we have a bigger problem than Eric's death.
One asks the question, Ndu. Over time, we've been told that individuals, including Imlu yesterday, that they've gone back and looked at the curriculum that the police officers use, that everything is up to good standard. What happens after that curriculum has been injected to individuals who then are headed by their seniors? Is the problem in the leadership of the police officers? Is it this curriculum that they are given, or is it an individual who chooses just not to do what is right?
I will never take away the responsibility from an individual. Remember yesterday we talked with Imlu, and Imlu told us about individual responsibility and command responsibility. I believe that the two work together. But you know what? Mm-hmm. In the instance where you are taking an iron post, club, whatever the case may be, and you are inflicting injury on another human being, in that room, it is you and your head, if it is working correctly, making the decision. You can tell me that it's disciplined and that they don't do what menene without the head, and the head must be there, the ones who have given the order, whatever. You can say no. If we don't deal with values, if we don't deal with systems, we are courting disaster. In fact, you know what we've done? We've taken disaster out on a date. We've bought it a drink. All we're waiting to do is hit a home run. That's what we're doing. So don't be surprised at what will happen now when it's coordinated across all fronts. This may be an isolated case in a police office, in a police station, and you think, maybe they got too angry. Maybe they dealt a blow, one too many. And you think it is not a symptom of something else? Hey, Jama.
You know, you look at what that officer is called, Muhwana, the guy from Central. What he said, that we were told to discipline this boy, but the people that you gave the order went overboard.
That's my point.
You get?
You see?
You go to this story and 10,000 bob has not been paid. So you resort to beating this boy. But Ndu, remember, every other time there is a demonstration in this country, what are you treated to? Clubs and batons. Who's wielding them? The police.